John Deere once built a tractor so reliable that farmers are still running it 40 years later and paying more for it used than they would for a new car, the John Deere 4440. A mechanical workhorse a man could rebuild in his own shop with hand tools, a machine that simply refused to die, so John Deere killed it. Not the model number, the idea behind it. The company looked at a tractor that lasted 40 years and saw a problem, because a tractor that never needs the dealer is a tractor that never makes the dealer money. And while John Deere was busy engineering that kind of durability out of its own iron, a Fendt and a Massey Ferguson were quietly building the thing John Deere walked away from. That is why farmers are now driving past the green lot and paying $65,000 for a 40-year-old machine instead of buying new. To understand what was killed, you have to understand what the 4440 was. Built around 40 years ago, it ran a fully mechanical engine with no computer standing between the farmer and the fuel. Bosch injections, simple hydraulics, well over 100 honest horsepower, and a design so straightforward that a farmer could pull an injector, rebuild it on the bench, and have the tractor back in the field the same afternoon. There was no diesel particulate filter to clog, no emissions derate waiting to strand the machine, and no code that locked the engine until somebody drove out from town. That tractor earned John Deere something money cannot buy. It earned 3 generations of trust, the kind that made a man teach his son to run green and never think twice. The 4040 did not just work. It made the John Deere name mean reliability. Ask the men who ran one and the stories all sound the same. A 4440 that has logged more hours than anyone bothered to count, still firing on a cold morning, still pulling a full load, passed from a father to a son and then loaned to a neighbor down the road. These machines became the backbone of tens of thousands of American operations precisely because they were boring in the best possible way. They started, they worked, and when something finally wore out, the farmer fixed it himself between chores. There was no annual software fee, no dealer appointment 3 weeks out, no warning light that meant a tow to town. The tractor asked nothing of the man except fuel and basic maintenance, and it gave back 4 decades of work. That is the standard John Deere set for itself with the 4440. Every green machine since has been measured against it, quietly, in the back of every older farmer's mind. And every newer machine has come up short on the one thing that mattered most, the freedom to keep it running yourself. So the question is not whether John Deere could still build a machine like that. Of course it could. The question is why it chose not to. And the answer is the most important thing an American farmer can understand about the company today. A tractor that lasts 40 years and fixes itself in the farmer's own shop is a tractor John Deere sells exactly once. There is no service revenue, no dealer-only diagnostic charge, no software subscription, no reason for the farmer to ever come back. From the operator's seat, the 4440 was perfect. From the executive floor, it was a business that ended the day the tractor left the lot. Reliability you could service yourself was not a feature to the bean counters in Moline. It was a leak in the revenue. This is the same logic that has hollowed out one American product after another, and farmers have watched it happen in their own driveways and living rooms. The phone that cannot be opened, the pickup that throws a dash warning until the brand shop clears it, the appliance that needs a firmware update just to keep working. Every time, a company that once built things to last looked at its own durability and saw money it was leaving on the table. Tractors are simply where the stakes are highest, because a lockdown phone is an annoyance and a lockdown combine during harvest is a lost year. John Deere did not invent this playbook, it just ran it on the most important machine on the farm, and it ran it on the customers who could least afford to lose a single day. The 4440 was killed by a spreadsheet, not by an engineer, so they sealed it. The modern John Deere is wrapped in emissions electronics and a dealer-locked computer that turns every repair into a permission slip. When a new green tractor throws a fault code even from a $40 sensor, it can drop into limp mode and crawl near 5 miles an hour in the middle of the planting window. The farmer cannot clear it. The diagnostic software belongs to the dealer, and the dealer charges around $180 an hour to plug in a service advisor, computer, and read a code the owner is forbidden from touching. The machine that used to answer to the man in the cab now answers to a server in another state. That is not an accident of progress. That is the 4440's reliability deliberately replaced with a tractor that needs the dealer to breathe, live through one of those breakdowns, and the betrayal stops being an idea and becomes a day you never forget. The machine sits at the end of a row, engine fine, hydraulics fine, the crop ready and the sky turning, and the only thing wrong is a code the farmer is not allowed to read. He calls the dealer. The earliest technician slot is days out. The clock the 4440 never started is now running against him, and there is nothing he can do but wait and pay. The man who could once rebuild an injector on his own bench in an afternoon now stands beside a machine worth most of $1 million that he is forbidden from touching. Nothing about that is progress for the farmer. It is progress only for the revenue line, which was the entire point of killing the tractor that did not need a dealer. If this breakdown is hitting home, take 1 second to subscribe, because we follow exactly how this company is changing and where the smart farm money is going instead every single week. And John Deere has told us, in its own words, why it did this. The company's chief executive, John May, said software is projected to make up 10% of John Deere's revenue by the year 2030. The reason is the margin. Analysts put the gross margin on farm software at around 85%, against roughly 25% for actually building a tractor. So a machine you own and repair yourself is a low-margin sale that ends at the dealer's gate. And a machine you have to log into and bring back is a customer who pays forever. The 4440 was the first kind of machine. The new green iron is the second. The company did not stumble into the lockout. It built the lockout because the lockout is where the money is, and a tractor that refuses to die does not fit the plan. If you think that is too harsh a charge, look at what John Deere just paid to make a lawsuit go away. In April of 2026, the company agreed to hand American farmers $99 million to settle a right-to-repair case, money for operators who paid green dealers for major repairs going back to January of 2018. As part of the deal, John Deere also agreed to provide the diagnostic tools farmers need for the next 10 years, the very tools it had been locking away. A company does not pay $99 million and surrender a decade of repair access to settle a problem it never created. The lawsuit alleged the repair lockout was costing American farmers around $4.2 billion a year. That $4.2 billion figure is the plaintiff's claim, not a number John Deere has admitted. But the settlement is the confession that the lockout was real and that it was worth fighting to keep. Here is the part the company truly did not plan for. The farmers figured it out and they started voting with their checkbooks. They looked at a new tractor with a window sticker that cost $1.3 million at a spring farm show, a machine with a dealer-controlled brain, and they looked at the old 4440-era iron sitting at the auction, and they did the math John Deere hoped they never would. In April of 2026, a 30-year-old John Deere sold for a record $65,000 at auction. Demand for pre-emissions machines has climbed roughly 5 times over in 18 months. Farmers are paying record money to buy back the exact thing John Deere killed, a tractor they are allowed to own and fix. The company engineered out the reliability, and the market is now pricing that reliability higher than ever. On the used iron, the company can no longer control, and the company cannot stop it, which is the part that must sting in Moline. John Deere controls the software on its new machines, the diagnostics, the subscriptions, the dealer network, almost everything about the modern tractor. The one thing it does not control is the auction. It cannot lock a 40-year-old machine that was built before the lockout existed, and it cannot stop a farmer from paying a record price to own one outright. So the very durability John Deere engineered out of its new iron has become the most valuable thing on the used market. A daily public verdict on what the company gave up. Every record price on old green iron is a farmer saying with his own checkbook that the old way was better. And for the farmers who need modern horsepower without the modern leash, there is somewhere to go that John Deere would rather they never looked. The European builders never made the bet John Deere made. A Fendt and a Massey Ferguson, both built under the American company AgeCo out of Duluth, Georgia, were engineered to be owned and serviced by the operator, not rented back from a dealer. A class combine cutting the fall harvest comes from the same world, a world where durability and the farmer's control are still the selling points, instead of the problem. While John Deere guided its profit down defending the software strategy, AgeCo grew into 2026 by building the thing John Deere abandoned. The 4440 spirit did not die. It just changed the color of the paint and moved across the Atlantic. That is not a slogan, it is what the machines actually do. A Fendt and a Massey Ferguson are engineered so a working operator can keep them running through a long season without a factory laptop standing between him and his own engine. A class combine brings in the heaviest harvest on earth for crews whose whole income depends on uptime. These companies made the opposite bet from John Deere. They decided that a farmer who can trust and service his own machine is a customer for life, not a leak to be sealed. And the market is proving them right in real time. While John Deere guides its profit down and writes settlement checks, the builders who kept faith with durability keep winning the operators who are done being treated like a subscription. The 4440's idea is still for sale. John Deere is just no longer the company selling it. None of this is the farmer's fault, and that matters. He did not make a mistake by trusting John Deere. He trusted a company that had earned it with machines like the 4440, machines that started every morning and asked no one's permission. He bought green, he stayed loyal. He handed that loyalty to his kids. The company is the one that changed the terms, that looked at its own best work and decided durability was a liability. The farmer kept faith with John Deere. John Deere broke faith with the farmer. That is the betrayal at the center of every locked screen and every 3-week dealer wait. So the next time someone tells you they just do not build them like the old 4440 anymore, you can tell them the truth. They could. John Deere simply decided not to, on purpose, because a tractor that lasts 40 years is a tractor that stops paying. The proof is sitting in 2 places at once. It is at the auction, where farmers are paying $65,000 for the old iron the company killed, and it is on the European row, where a Fendt and a Massey Ferguson are quietly building the reliability John Deere threw away. The machine that refused to die is still running in sheds all over this country. The company that killed it is the one writing the $99 million checks. If you want to keep watching where the smart money in American farming moves next, subscribe and stay with us.